starting to think my little hobby is becoming more of an obsession. This is a Dayton fan I've had for a number of years. I got this in 2002, actually, from the dump. I haven't done a thing to it. And when I moved out of my parents' house in 2003, I gave it to my father for use in the garage and for other things, and completely forgot about it. About 3 hours ago, I went over to my parents' house, and it was sitting on the or in the trash pile to be thrown out, and I wasn't about ready to let this perfectly good fan go to the dump, especially since it was mine originally. The fan was probably built, I want to say, in the 1950s, possibly early 60s. It's very hard to come up with an actual production date. It is complete, and it is all original. Stick it here on the couch. It's got a nice chrome steel bullet shaped motor housing. Steel stand, all chrome. A chromed steel blade guard. And what makes it very unusual is it has Bakelite blades. Bakelite, sorry. It has a twin blade Bakelite fan blade. More like an airplane prop than anything. It needs to be cleaned. It is black, but it is covered in white dust. So I need to pull it apart and clean it. The fan runs. It runs very well. It's the motor is in great shape. I believe the bearings are still good in it. Unfortunately, the blade is off balance. It has a chip on one end, a very small chip. So it kind of, well, you'll see when it runs. Well, let's get to it. The power cord is not original. It's actually undersized for this fan. It's a very thin, very fragile cord. I'm going to replace this with a nice thick cord. This is a 3-position switch, off, high, and low. Start it off on low. As you can see, it kind of shakes and shimmies a little bit. What's nice about this blade is because it's Bakelite, it's very quiet. If I were to go ahead and balance it somehow, I'm not really sure how I can balance a Bakelite blade, but we'll see. It'll be a very quiet, smooth-running fan. If I put my hand against the guard, it makes almost no noise at all. Let's go for high. So as you can clearly see, it runs great. It pushes air like no tomorrow. This thing really moves air. Not sure what I'm going to do about the blade though. It's not cracked anywhere. It just has a couple of chips on one tip here. And the other tip has a few chips as well. What I may do is I might actually try and file this a little bit. Smooth it out a little, maybe with some sandpaper. And then what I'll do is I'll take a Dremel tool and I'll try to balance it by grinding off, one end or the other, and get it perfectly balanced. That's most likely what I'm going to do. I've never worked with Bakelite, so if any of you have any suggestions before I ruin this thing, I'd be more than happy to hear them. Once I do that, I'm going to steel wool the entire motor housing, get it nice and shiny again. The chrome is intact and there's no rust except for one minor spot. This hole you see on the top is for the oil port. There's a little tube that comes up right about here. You can see it. I can see it. And there's also an oil port in the front It's located, where is it? I just saw it too. Spin the blade a little bit. There it is. You can't really see it, but there's an oil port on the top of the motor housing right in there. So it's definitely designed for long-term use. The badge, I'm trying to get a close-up shot of it. Dayton Electric Manufacturing Co. since 1937, Chicago 12, USA. It says P41. And I don't believe there's a data plate. Yeah, there was one, it looks like. And it's missing. This is the underside of the motor housing. But this fan never made it into daily use because it was always off balance. I used to run it at night. I probably did it for 3 nights in a row and I got sick of it. It was just too damn noisy. But the bearings seem to be intact, so I'm good there. It doesn't have the rattling problem that my other fan does. This one. So, until then, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them on my comment list.